Hey guys, and welcome. Thank you for being here. This is your first video on my channel. Like, subscribe, you hear me? But today, we're watching Jujutsu Kaisen vs. Zabuza and Haku. I don't like watching these no operate videos. They always hating on JJK. Always downplaying their power system. But hey, we gonna watch the video. They made some valid points. They made some invalid points. So like I said, we gonna watch the video. And we just gonna point out some valid points and some invalid points. And they got some very invalid points. Hey, I'm not trying to steal their video, so go watch their video, support them. But this video just made me so mad that I had to make a video on it. Now let's go.
When it comes to the difference in power level between Jujutsu Kaisen and Naruto, the missions the two casts of characters embark on might scale very differently in danger.
You're right. While Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara were facing a grade 1 curse, which is one level lower than a special grade curse, the most strongest curse in their series, Yuji literally getting his hand cut the fuck off. That scale is very different. Now you can say their first mission was when they fought those two little curses, but that was really said by Gojo to be a test to see how capable they are as Jujutsu sorcerers, not a real mission. Mainly Nobara. While Naruto out here literally chasing fucking cats for missions. Now I get it, they weren't that strong, but he said the difference in missions, the difference in danger level. This is it.
5 meters. I'm ready, just give the signal.
I'm ready too.
So am I.
Okay. Now!
I got him!
You literally can't make this shit up, and I'm showing you that to let you know that I'm not making this shit up. Now let's continue with the video.
If the three Jujutsu Kaisen protagonists had to face Squad 7's very first C-rank mission, known narratively as the Land of Waves arc, a mission that derails into pandemonium with managed to survive every threat thrown their way, despite the low experience. Can Jujutsu sorcerers who have weathered storms like disaster curses and Shibuya incidents do the same? To make things simple, we'll be equalizing cursed energy and chakra as an energy source. Everyone fights on fair and balanced ground, relying purely on their own stats and powers. Make sure you like the video, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and most importantly, thank you for watching. We're gonna get right into skip ahead to the most important part. It's gonna be when Zabuza pulls up and threatens everybody. In this instance, we're gonna leave Gojo out for right.
Now this is where things start to get shaky. Why are they keeping Gojo? Why are they keeping Gojo out of the equation? Like, wasn't Kakashi there the whole time with them? Did Kakashi not carry more than 70% of that fight? So why are we taking Gojo out for this instance? Like, it's already starting out bad. It's already starting out
right
bad
now, and we're gonna save that for a little bit of a bonus part in the end to see if he changes any results. But most importantly, we're just gonna focus on the three amigos here. So 6, you're here to help me out with this Naruto scaling, going over what Zabuza can do and how he may interact with the JJK trio.
Okay, so no, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of Naruto scaling sort of gets carried by what Kakashi did whenever he cut the lightning bolt. Because then any character who scales Kakashi can probably scale to a lightning bolt, at least in most circumstances. Now, the anime makes it a little bit more clear as to when Kakashi actually did cut the lightning bolt. They have him do it when he's like a little kid. He's like almost out of chakra with the Sharingan or whatever. The manga is much more so ambiguous. So if you say that maybe Kakashi did it a year before we see the main story, then stuff becomes a little bit more muddied, I guess I should say, because he does do it with the Chidori or lightning blade, whatever you want to call it. And Zabuza doesn't scale to that. So then it becomes a little bit harder to say, you know, Zabuza is just lightning speed or a lightning timer or something like that. But if you want to be generous, say Kakashi did it when the anime showed it, and then Zabuza should obviously scale to that just because Kakashi got stronger. Then Zabuza would scale somewhere around lightning speed or below. He doesn't get higher than that regardless. His main technique for actually taking people down and what he's probably going to use on the trio, hit and miss, and then his assassination technique where it's just silent killing. He just comes up, slashes you. So that's probably what they're going to have to deal with the most. The hardest part of that technique is sensing his bloodlust and knowing when you're about to die, because you can't see through the smoke.
I think the hit and miss technique is really the only thing that Zabuza is gonna have to do, but just to be generous to our main trio here, like you said, the ultimate lightning bolt argument really just proves that a lot of Naruto characters, especially high-ranking shinobi like Zabuza, are just gonna be completely running circles around people like Yuji, Megami, and Nobara.
Alright, first off, as we see, Naruto them is standing in a fucking circle. This ninja moving at light speed gets behind them. And thanks to Kakashi, them niggas are not dead. He would have killed every last one of them right there. That's why I feel like it's so stupid to not add Gojo to the equation when Naruto then would have been dead without Kakashi. Like,
Ultimately,
it's so
what
stupid.
I really feel like what I want to get into is how each character is going to interact with a demon like Zabuza, especially when it's going to be 10 times harder to see. So a character like Yuji, who is ultimately going to be the one with the highest physical stats. Do we think that Yuji, with his intense speed as been shown in the manga and in the anime, is going to be able to do anything to keep up with Zabuza?
I mean, no, not especially not if you go with the more generous interpretation that Zabuza, the best thing that you could expect the kids to do is for Megami to expand his domain. That way they can maybe track Zabuza while he's moving through it, even through the mist. Megami can sense him. Try to land a hitter or dodge his hits that way.
I definitely think one thing that he could do in that scenario, Megami, would be with the entire shadows just basically coating the entire ground, they could possibly hope to kind of deter Zabuza's intense speed advantage in some way, shape, or form. And ultimately, getting back to the lightning bolt, I didn't think it would come back up, but if Megami is going to be able to summon multiple different new ways, and you know, he can summon multiple different clones of all the different Shikigami, so we can use the Toad Shikigami to also help with slowing Zabuza down, trying to keep him in one place. Do you think they'd be able to trap him and like maybe land a giant lightning bolt attack on him to do some kind of damage? And do we even think with their level of attack power and that kind of discrepancy in the gap, it would do any damage and something that would...
With their level of attack power. Bro, this is literally peak hating on a show. Now I get it, JJK power system isn't the strongest, but to say that they would do no damage is crazy. Like Yuji ain't out here beaming shit, gang. Like Yuji really ain't punch a man with a helicopter head, which I'm assuming is metal, punch his shit with his bare hands and crack that nigga fucking dome. Like, I understand JJK don't have the strongest power system, but downplaying it to this level where you say they would do no damage is insane,
that would
bro.
even stun Zabuza?
Yeah, actually I do. So like with Megami Shadows, especially if he expands his domain, if he can get Zabuza inside of that to actually like sink down the same way he did Toji in that alleyway in Shibuya, there's actually a decent chance they have it landing a New Way strike on him at that point. And New Way, I mean, it has, you know, electricity powers, so there is like, I don't want to say durability negation, but lightning bypasses conventional durability, so it shocks you. So it doesn't really matter how physically tough your body is, lightning's still gonna shock you, if you get what I mean. They could definitely do some type of damage with him that way. I think best case scenario, if Megami could do this, is to sink Zabuza down in the shadows the way that he did against Reggie with, like, you know, the houses and whatnot, and try to keep him down there until, you know, he's conked out.
Yeah, that ultimately is probably the best case scenario, because Megami's domain, one thing that I was worried about, especially when it came to Fushiguro, was the fact that if all of these Naruto characters are going to have such a higher level of attack power and speed, Megami's biggest concern is going to be having his Shikigami be destroyed. But we know in his domain expansion, he almost has like something very similar to the substitution jutsu, where like whatever he gets hit with, he literally just turns to shadow. So anything that Zabuza does try to do, at least to Megami, is going to be null and void, and that will lead Megami the perfect opportunity to potentially trap Zabuza inside of his domain expansion. Another thing that I wanted to get your opinion on that I thought would be really interesting, because we haven't really talked much about her, unfortunately, Nobara's position in this fight. I wanted to see how Resonance, God forbid she's actually able to get like a piece of Zabuza or land some kind of nail attack on him in the kind of chaos that would be this 3-on-1 battle. If Nobara is actually able to get Resonance off, how do we think think that would actually interact as far as like, she should definitely be able to at least stun Zabuza again and keep him in place. It seems like the main trio, it seems like their only hope of survival is really just keeping Zabuza in one place and making sure he can't move, right?
So
This is literally pissing me off. They shouldn't have to do anything because it would be Gojo versus Zabuza, like it was in the original Kakashi versus Zabuza. Like Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto did much to nothing in that fight. Like, it was literally Gojo versus Zabuza. They were just standing around in a fucking circle, guarding whoever they had to guard. Now, I know Kakashi got sealed in that water prison, or whatever it's called. First of all, that would not happen in Gojo. Second, let's say it does, just for the sake of the video, right? For Zabuza to be moving at light speed, how the fuck did he not kill all three of them instantly? Like, you telling me at that age Naruto then was moving at light speed? Stop it, bro.
Zabuza uses water clones to attack, and like water clones are, and clones in general, they're tied to your person. Like, you know, if you dispel a clone, the person gets the memories back just because it's tied to the person in that sort of fashion. So actually hitting resonance on a clone of Zabuza might prove to be like getting a good hit on him, because if Nobara can hit resonance on him to the point where it like hits him internally, that's a different story than hitting Zabuza on the outside, because Naruto characters, they can't train the inside of their bodies to be more durable. Kakashi says that. That's why the gentle fist is so feared amongst everyone in the verse. It's like they hit your chakra system, that hits your organs. You can't train your organs, you take a fatal blow. So if Nobara can actually hit that and hit Zabuza's insides, that might prove to be an attack that could lead to something fatal, especially if she can hit his heart the same way she did with the one curse at the beginning of the story and what she was doing with Eso and Kaichi's do. To be fair, with those examples, she was linked to them way more than she'll be linked to Zabuza, because, you know, their blood was in her and whatnot. And then, you know, she had the black flash activation and all of that. It's a bit hard to say, you know, how resonance would affect Zabuza. With that being the case, it's going to land a hit that's going to at least stun him a little.
And also, one thing that Nobara does have too is hairpin, which we do know is able to do a lot of explosive damage, and depending on how many nails Nobara is able to spread across the location, she can definitely do a pretty huge AoE attack that again would defend against that scenario. So actually, from the beginning of this, getting into the somewhat closing statements of the conversation, it does seem like the trio does have a couple different ways that they would be able to at least defend themselves against Zabuza's onslaught. Thankfully, like you said, Megami's domain, at the very least, as long as they're inside of the shadow moment, would be able to track them inside the hidden mist. And Yuji, I'm not sure what he'd be able to do, but ultimately, do you see like them having any kind of win conditions with all of this? Like you said, resonance could potentially be fatal to Zabuza if Nobara can get it off in the right way. Or do you think Zabuza is just that much more powerful that all of these generous scenarios we're creating are just infallible?
Maybe Maharaga?
True. That's something we can't forget.
He's definitely pulling him out. He's definitely pulling him out. Maharaga is probably the best to win condition for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Megami is very happy. He loves pulling that shit out.
Zabuza just attacks with his sword. And I don't want to say, you know, he already has the slashing attack, you know, adapted to, but he can adapt to slashing attacks. At least in the manga, it doesn't take many for him to do it. The anime showed it a little bit differently. He can take a lot in order to adapt, but he can heal and whatnot. It would be harder for Zabuza with Maharaga out. I don't want to say it would be impossible. I would struggle finding a way for Zabuza to just blow up Maharaga. He doesn't really have any attacks like that.
Yeah, need it, but to keep it somewhat story accurate, if we're
Keeping it story accurate is insane when you just told us we couldn't have our sensei help us fight when Kakashi was literally there the whole time, carrying 70% of that fucking
we're going
fight.
to be pitting Haku up against Yuji and Megami, the protagonist and dirtagonist of the series.
This is another one that like carries Naruto scaling. Haku is light speed, you know, no one's heard that before. Okay, now the databooks does say Haku being in his mirrors, it allows him to move at light speed, or that he can move at light speed. Not that he does all the time, and especially not in the case of when he fought Naruto and Sasuke, he wasn't doing that. When he fought Sasuke, he was holding back, and when he fought Naruto, he was greatly fatigued fatigued from having the jutsu up for so long. Good example of Haku actually probably using his light speed movement is when he got in front of Kakashi. Haku's the one that lets us know about mental imps in Naruto and how when you're protecting someone, you can become as strong as you need to be, quote unquote. That's how he puts it. When Haku is intercepting Kakashi, that's probably an example of him actually using his light speed, not when he's up against Naruto and Sasuke. If you have him in character like that, something to him. For the most part, I don't really see it, because if Haku summons his mirrors, Megami's domain essentially gets voided, because Haku's in the mirrors, not in the domain. There's no barrier, and he's not going down to the bottom to get trapped. Sasuke happened to react to Haku because he awakened his Sharingan. Obviously, Megami and Yuji don't have that. It's probably just gonna be like Haku going back and forth through mirrors, throwing needles at them until they're finished, unfortunately.
Itadori Yuji is just ultimately useless against these characters that just are able to completely outdo him.
That's an insane statement. Why can't Yuji do exactly what Naruto did? Jumping around trying to hit Haku in the mirrors.
I mean, his durability is definitely going to hold up. Like, it's definitely going to take a little bit before these characters are ultimately destroyed by Haku. I don't want to undersell these characters. You know, Itadori is a
He's saying he don't want to undersell them when that's literally what he is doing.
very strong character. He's pretty tough, but it does again come down to Megami's domain in the shadows, because that's going to be their only hope of, one, potentially dodging all the attacks that Haku is going to be throwing at them. I mean, it's basically stated, at least until Sasuke gets his Sharingan, right, that Haku is moving so fast in the crystal ice mirrors that he appears to be in almost every single mirror at once. So do anything. I mean, do we think that Megami has a Shikigami that's going to be strong enough to actually break one of the crystal ice mirrors and
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that there is a possibility. Because Megami has a Shikigami called the Raging Bull that the more it runs, the more power it charges up. So that is a possibility.
potentially give them an escape route? We do see Naruto in his Kyuubi mode break one of the...
Oh my god, I just thought about something when he said Naruto in his whatever mode. I literally don't know what it's called, so don't get on me. But why can't Yuji use Sukuna? Or are we going with the manga right now? Why can't Megami pull out Sukuna? Then Maharaga is a possibility because Sukuna can control Maharaga. So everybody won't die. Like, if you're going to say, oh, we can't use Sukuna, like how? When you just literally said Naruto tapping into the nine-tailed fox chakra, which is not his own.
One of the mirrors, of course, that's ultimately how they end up finishing the scenario in the...
Oh my god. How they finished the scenario in the main story is Naruto using a form of his Nine Tails mode. Oh my god, so you trying to say... What? Yuji can use Sukuna in this fight and it's over. Sukuna can drag Haku in his domain. He and all the mirrors at once. It's cool. Sukuna slicing all the mirrors at fucking once. And Sukuna domain isn't an enclosed one. It doesn't bring you into imaginary space. It warps reality. So like it's over. It's literally over, and you can't say we can't do those things. We're literally in the main story. That's the only reason the main trio survived.
The main story. Do we think like any of these characters are capable of doing that same thing?
No, not really.
So how strong is Haku's mirror? Because like a black flash from Yuji won't break it. Multiple black flashes from Yuji won't break it. When we know Yuji can do basically a black flash at will after his fight with Mahito. So like a black flash from Yuji multiple won't do it?
Sorcery. Like if Yuji times himself just right as Haku's like running through the different mirrors, Yuji endures a heavy hit, grabs onto Haku and like holds him steady enough for them to land a critical hit. Like how do you see, is that something you think is possible, and how would you think that would go?
I mean, Haku doesn't really have any durability feats, so I wouldn't be able to say like, you know, they definitely could not damage him. I mean, I would probably say like the timing would definitely be harder than someone like what Megami did against Toji or something something like that, because Haku, he moves very fast, and like with Naoya and Maki, the difference was what, like speed of sound versus Mach 3 or whatever, and you know that's a lot easier to time than, you know, potentially lightning speed versus maybe Mach 3, if you get what I mean. But if Yuji is able to time it, like I said, Haku doesn't really have any durability feats necessarily that I could point to and be like, you know, oh shit, he's gonna take that punch. So I mean, at that point it will really be up to you, like how generous you want to be. Like if you want to say that Haku should just scale above, you know, normal Jonin in durability as well for whatever reason, and then that means Yuji and Megumi can't hurt him. Or if you want to say, well, he has no durability feats, so you can't say that, and Yuji and Megumi could one-shot him if they if they got him down.
They can do a critical hit. Haku's done if they can pull that off. Always going to be people that are saying that we are overscaling these Naruto characters, these Jujutsu Kaisen characters. So getting right to it, the main event, because obviously Kakashi is present in all of these scenarios, both of them in fact. Do we think that Gojo would make a difference against Zabuza, against Haku? We can kind of talk about this ultimately at the same time. We don't have to split them off and go back to the scenarios. Is there anything you think that the Limitless, the Six Eyes, provides a huge advantage over either of these characters for?
If Haku goes in his mirrors and Gojo does Unlimited Void, he's cooked.
True.
He's cooked.
Finally, they're starting to spit some truth. Let them cook now.
His brain is fried at that point. Zabuza, I mean, obviously Zabuza can't hit Gojo, and neither can Haku either. Gojo has like the advanced sensing with the Six Eyes, so it's not like the mist is really gonna mess with him. And then if Zabuza gets in close, lands his sword strike and doesn't back off immediately, I mean, again, Unlimited Void and he's cooked.
Gojo just has the means to an end. Like, again, depending on how generous you want to be for these characters, how red or blue interacts. I mean, personally, I think, you know, Crystal Ice Mirrors and blue is just a bad matchup for Haku. Just entire, like, I think there's everything Gojo can do with the Limitless, on top of the fact that neither of these characters will just be able to touch him. I don't think Gojo's getting caught in a fucking water prison.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, even if he does, he can teleport away.
True,
right?
It just fucking breaks that shit. Let's be honest, you know.
Yeah, or you could just break it. Like, you just expand Limitless.
We saw what happened to Hanami. You know?
Yeah, exactly. You can just expand Limitless and break it. There's Unlimited Void. I mean, Zabuza has to keep his hand in the water prison. He could, like, I don't want to say he could purple it. Like, maybe Zabuza, oh, he's charging something up and he move. But if Zabuza keeps his hand there, he can charge something up and just shoot it at him. Now, since, you know, Gojo vs. Sukuna is ended, there's Unlimited Hollow technique he could do. Just throw purple in the air.
Yeah.
And let it rain down. He's got way more tools at his disposal than Yuji, Megumi, or Nobara do to deal with these guys, and they can't touch him at all. So, I mean, he would just win.
Ultimately,
Finally, at the end of the video, they start speaking some truth. Now, this whole video was for nothing because Gojo would have been there from the start and they would have been over from the start. But anyway, I hope you guys liked the video. I just had to point out some invalid points that make no sense. Like, how are you going to say all these things when they needed all these things, but you're going to take that away from us? Anyway, like I said, I hope you enjoyed the video. And yeah, man, that's all I got to say. I'm out. Peace.